we'll start at Old Trafford because it was a big game, biggest game of the weekend. Manchester United playing Liverpool, whatever form, whatever position you're in the league, that game is important, does matter, and does give us a feel. Remember this time last year, Manchester United won this game, Eric Ten Hag against the Jurgen Klopp Liverpool. Wasn't as fortunate, wasn't for me, particularly in the races on this occasion, and a pretty, I would say, routine 3-0 win for Liverpool. That means 3 wins in 3 games, no goals conceded. I think it's 7 goals scored now, isn't it? And a pretty decent start. Remember our first podcast, Rob, when we weren't talking about Arne Slot, and I said, Arne Slot, what you got? Looks like you've got a bit, to be honest. Looks like you've got a little bit.
Yeah, I think the what we're seeing from, I mean, it's the same kind of players. You look at the lineup today. He's made some big calls, Rob, and I think like 3 big calls that's working out great so far. First big call is Diogo Jota up front instead of Darwin Nunez. Now, a lot of people, I think us included, think that Jota's the best finisher at the club and that he should be in the starting lineup. Well, he's done that. He's been playing up front, been doing great. A change in midfield as well. Ryan Gravenberch, Rob, was selected instead of Endo. And the third part of it is the midfield makeup and change. And that's working out great as well in terms of just tweaking the balance of the team, the blend of the team, the way that it attacks, the way that it defends, the where it is when, if you like, well, I guess in transition when nobody's got the ball or it's just changing hands, they seem to be in a lovely, safe place. We've talked about this before, Rob, and I thought this was a stunning example of a philosophy, of a changing kind of approach that's working brilliantly well from a manager that's really calm. The players seem to be enjoying playing for him, Rob, and this was a textbook kind of controlled, professional, thorough victory. We'll get to United, Rob, but what did you take from the Liverpool performance? I
mean, so it's really interesting you're going down that road because I wrote a couple of my notes here. My first note was the game was won by the structure of Liverpool, tactical structure of Liverpool's midfield and the attacking threat that they have at the top of the pitch. Those 2 elements were too much for Manchester United. My other line I've got, Rob, which I want to kind of get your thinking around is it's almost as though this guy has given this very high caliber, international class players an instruction manual. Almost like they become more positionally aware than maybe, that individual will get to spot like you do your thing. It looks like there's like an instruction manual that says, do A, B, C, and D when we have the ball. And if you're in these X, Y, and Z places, you're going to hurt the opposition. And you see it with that midfield, Rob. It's cleverly split into, 2 out of possession side by side. McAllister being given a little bit more license. Szoboszlai's positioning that hole where he can get half turned. Trent coming in from the other side. There's things, Rob, that are like, it's like an instruction. Follow the manual. You've got A, B, C, and D to do. A, B, C, and D for Liverpool is looking like it might at times be not quite as exciting and exhilarating. But I'll tell you what, Rob, it could be just as successful. I know we're only 3 games in, and I'm certainly not going to get carried away. But those are the things I'm seeing that are telling me that this guy is a smart operator who, after 3 games, you can see the tweaks he's made to a very strong team that had its personality, that had a certain way of playing, and the manager is very quickly been able to affect that.
Let me come back at that, Rob, because I really like the analogy. So instruction manual, positioning instead of high energy. That's the difference. Correct. It's not. It's the secret sauce it seemed before was that high energy from Liverpool in midfield and with Wijnaldum before that and Henderson, that high energy protection. This is protection through positioning. So I really like that. When you say there might not be as dynamic going forward, that's absolutely the right kind of analogy given how a little bit safer they are in midfield. But, Rob, given the players that they've got, my goodness, it's hard for Salah and Jota and Luis Diaz, who's on fire right now, not to be high energy and quality. So even though they might get a little less, they didn't today because Man United played into their hands, but there might be games where they're a little more starved of the ball and don't get involved. I've got to say one thing, Rob, because I kind of geek out a little bit at the tactical side of things, right?
Yeah.
We ran an interview with Arne Slot afterwards with our colleagues at Sky, Pitchside.
Yeah,
And
I saw it.
you know, I'm fascinated with how this Liverpool works. Right now, when you look at Liverpool, it's very easy to think, right, that it's Gravenberch alongside McAllister with Szoboszlai in the hole, right? What I saw in the last game was, that's without the ball, but when they have the ball, McAllister goes forward. Now, Arne Slot, Rob, afterwards said, we switched it today.
Yeah.
Dominic Szoboszlai went from right to left.
Yeah.
So
played on the left side.
So he was on the left side. So I don't want to get too technical, but so McAllister was holding, Gravenberch was on the right side in possession. If you think about 2 number 8s going forward and 1 holding, that's normally Gravenberch, Szoboszlai on the right, McAllister on the left, go forward when they can. Today it was, no, Gravenberch, you're going forward, and Szoboszlai is going to be on the left side and McAllister in the centre. Maybe it's over-technical, this. And for the most part, by the way, and I did a breakdown, Rob, at half-time of mostly it was Gravenberch and McAllister that did stay behind the ball. And it led the front 4 players. In fact, that's the way they do it anyway. The front 4 go and press, and the middle 2, well, if you get past those 4, we're kind of here. And it worked out brilliantly. So, you know, this whole...
You also mentioned, Rob, which was, I thought, an interesting point, because I think the guys from Sky were sort of saying, like, you know, it doesn't seem like you as high press. And he almost said, if we're in the right position and we're in the right places, we are ready to play, like we did today in midfield. Probably the press was where they won the ball 2 or 3 occasions and helped them set up. So it also is a bit of mixes. Like he's not making them passive by any way. He's sitting off too much. I think that once the structure's there, he does still want them to go and win the ball.
Yeah. Well, he does. I mean, it's 2 parts to it. When Man United were building up, the front 4 went and press. And they played into midfield, and Gravenberch picked up a lot of balls in there, and on the front foot. And also when they attacked, they still have a little insurance. Instead of McAllister and Gravenberch going forward, they did hold a little bit. And Manchester United played right into their hands, Rob. Before we get on to Man United, just in terms of Liverpool, Rob, who stood out for you in this impressive performance?
I'm going to jump in early, my friend, 2 foot to my underappreciated performer of the week. Is Ryan Gravenberch, my friend, in position, who, Rob, we see Gravenberch, and we're a little bit, probably a bit like Gakpo. We know he's a talented footballer. We've seen the history of where he's been and clubs they've been at, but we haven't quite seen the command of English football yet. I think, Rob, new manager, new set of eyes, a new confidence, has found a guy who might save this team $100 million if that's what you're paying for Caicedo or Lavia, who's 22 years of age, who's athletic, who can play, who still at times probably needs to be a little aware of that speed and things in midfield. But his athleticism, his ability on the ball, his technical quality. You know, we always said with Endo, does he get across the pitch enough when you've got, you know, teams that can switch play and have got quick attackers? Gravenberch can. I just feel, Rob, he could be a really, really important player for Arne Slot. And a bit like the manager, he'll do it in a very understated way. He won't get the headlines. He won't be a star man and man in the match every week, but he could be a really key component to this team being successful.
I mean, I'll just add to that, and I love the shout, by the way, love the shout. Reading the game. How many times in the game against in this game did he just kind of read the ball going in there, runs forward? Interceptions. He was very, and then he burst forward on one. I think it was the Luis Diaz. First goal.
When he went in, he went
forward, and he was very patient with his ball to the side. Where Salah makes a beautiful little floated ball with his right foot for Luis Diaz's first goal. I love that shout, Robert. Underappreciated player to watch. I mean, you're right. That was a big move from the manager, and it looks like it's going to pay out. Another couple of players like we got to mention. Luis Diaz, Rob. I think he got the man of the match on the day. You get a couple of goals, you're probably going to get that. I would have tempted to give it to Gravenberch, and also Szoboszlai. So this is a different. It's not awfully different. It's just subtly different for Szoboszlai, that he's playing a lot higher up in that initial press, and he's got great energy. We saw that right from day one with this guy. So wow, I mean,
but the Mo man, we can't go without the Mo man.
Wow,
I mean, goals, assists, contract up, looking fit as a fiddle, looking focused, looking happy. And And almost, Rob, I'm quite pleased. He's like, I'm just getting on with this season. I'm not worrying about next year and what happens. And you know, he wants records, Rob. He's got a bit of the. He's got a little bit of the Ronaldo's about him. He wants to keep scoring and keep doing, and he looks fit as a fiddle, mate. He looks committed to it. I'm not sure he's rushing away to Saudi right now. I think Saudi can come when he's 36, 37.
I've got an update for you, my friend. Got an update for you.
Ooh.
So, you know, we're of course, our backup team is second to none, by the way. And they're always got the antenna up with what's going on, interviews and stuff. Anyway, they heard the Mo Salah interview, pitch side with our colleagues at Sky, and he said, the club haven't spoke to me about a new contract. And he said that twice. Now, we jumped on it a little bit, and Rebecca's like, oh, that could be headlines. Like, so I'm going to throw it back to you, Rob, because I'm surprised at that. Are you surprised that the club haven't said to Mo Salah, Mo, your contract's up, like, how about another year? That's what I thought would have happened. They're just going to let it go.
I think we can get to Christmas. I think it's a bit like the Ronaldo one. We don't want to do something. I believe like the thinking is, if we give him a 4-year contract, it's not what he's been doing for the last 4 years, because we know that's brilliant. It's what's going to be the next 4 years.
Yeah, but just a year's extension, Rob. Surely they would have asked the question in the summer.
Of course, but I just think new manager coming in, no rush. You know, same with Van Dijk, same with Trent, by the way, who are just as important in their own way. But listen, the guy up top is special. Is probably going to go down as one of the greatest ever Liverpool players. A club that's had some magnificent players. I'm kind of okay with it, and I kind of like that Mo feels like, I think he's pushing it a little bit. I think he wants to get it out there, and that's not a bad thing from his point of view. But I'm okay with the club. I'm okay with Arne Slot saying, I'll take a look at him for 6 months. I'm kind of okay with it.
Are you okay with Manchester United, Robbie Earle?
I remember, I think it was our last pod, was it not? That you were sort of, you initially went, I think I'm done with the Ten Hag.
I took it. I said, I know.
You took it back. And I said, and I'm going to go back to that conversation, mate, that today we saw most of the things that we know about Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United, Rob. I was watching the game, and, you know, every now and then you're right, you know, it was about 25 minutes on the clock. Manchester United were from a structured 4-4-2 shape, and, you know, however it's slightly, you know, 4-2-4 at times and whatever. And they were going in the shape, and somebody closed, Rob, and somebody came back, and somebody went, they did that for about 5 or 6 minutes. They never touched the ball. They never got near the ball. I saw Garnacho on one side running from full-back to midfield player to wide player. He was just running like in a triangle down that side of the pitch, not touching the ball, you know, wanting to do what was right, wanting to do what was structured. So in some ways you think, okay, is that what United are now? Not in possession, but trying to be... But eventually, Rob, they got tired, they got pulled apart, and anytime they won the ball, Liverpool almost took it off them. It wasn't many times Man United got the ball and were threatening. The odd time, the ball from Rashford, the Zirkzee shot, the Mazraoui shot, which is never really going to beat keeper. But I never saw a lot, Rob, that made me go, okay, that's what they're doing. They're going to work hard, they're going to break like Liverpool, then they're going to do their thing. And it just made me think, Ten Hag needs the 12 or 15 games. He needs the games to create an argument. Because what we saw today, Liverpool were comfortable, mate. Absolutely comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I said afterwards, Rob, that if the club, the new ownership, you know, are going to stick with Eric Ten Hag. The signings that's been coming in look really good. They look better than what's been before, and you can kind of see that this team is going to evolve. And you know, we saw first starts for Zirkzee, for De Ligt. Garnacho had a first start of this season on the right hand side instead of Ahmad. Mazraoui's in, and there's more. Manuel Ugarte, the new midfield, tenacious little midfield player, is to come in the side. You've got Rasmus. So even though it was similar and not acceptable. We'll get on to Casemiro in a second. But I guess And a lot of the fans I spoke to, Rob, around the time, because I was like, wow, they're going to continue with Eric Ten Hag. I know they won the FA Cup, but people seem, the club have seemed okay with it. And so is it now that the ownership and the club are going to say, this is going to take time? Yeah. We've got different players. We're trying to change things. And this is a consequence of the changes. And we just got to be patient.
I think so, because I think having given the guy the tools behind the scenes, having brought the players in, you kind of got to let him see half a season, I would say, where we see where we are. If they are 8th, 9th, 10th, Rob, coming at the turn of the year, we might be having a serious conversation. Let's not forget, Jim Ratcliffe is a Manchester United fan. Jim Ratcliffe will not like losing to Liverpool. Jim Ratcliffe will not like losing, but he won't. He's a fan. He's grown up supporting the club. He knows the rivalry with two teams. He won't like the nature that Liverpool have come to Old Trafford and have easily beaten his team. So Ten Hag needs games, and he needs results, and he needs performances that start to show encouragement. I think we both said from the time there has to be progress, mate.
Yeah.
When you've spent this money, when you give him this time, when you have this structure behind and the kind of people now that are in place, you've got to start to see progress. And let me throw one quick at you, Rob. The last 2 games, they've lost to Brighton and they've lost to Liverpool. Guess how many Premier League games those two managers have
not
had?
many. Yeah, not many.
5 between them.
Yeah.
2 for Earle, 3 for Slot. We're seeing things in those teams we're not seeing from Eric Ten Hag's tenure for this is year 3.
Yeah, when you look at the games today, Rob, the 6 teams, this is Sunday, the 6 teams that are playing, all other managers, you can absolutely see what they brought into their football clubs, from Glasner at Crystal Palace and Maresca at Chelsea and everybody else that played on this Sunday. And Ten Hag's still like, not really sure. Now, they did try and play out a lot more today, Rob, and the player that got caught on the ball was Casemiro, and there's no question. There's so much respect I'm sure we both have for this guy. What he's won with the amount of Champions League titles, and what a player. Older now, he had a bit of a nightmare, Rob. Is there any way back for Casemiro, given the level of that and being hooked at half-time?
Yeah. I think not, and I think not more for him than I'm talking about Manchester United. I think looks like his confidence has gone, Rob, to a point where after the game he looked a bit shot during the half. Caught in possession, bowled over, out physicaled. And it's a shame because we're watching a European great sort of decline. And so I think for his point of view, I mean, Saudi window closes tomorrow. might there be a phone call tonight? Quickest medical you've ever seen in Manchester. And I just feel they'll keep him, hanging around and playing, in the reserves. He's held with such regard and he's had such a great career. But it's time, Rob, isn't it? It's caught up with him. This league, you can't. Listen, we've all been there, and these days when you start seeing this game going around you and you just realise, whoa, it's gone beyond me.
Yeah, frustrating for Man United. I guess patience from the fans. I do feel for the Man United fans trying to see development and improvement. They've got to be more patient. Liverpool's superb.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.